Wow. Oh man. What a show. What an ending. What an ending to last week. Oh my gosh. It's like so hard to keep up with the action. There's so much going on. Welcome to the live reaction for Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Woo! Man. I'll give you guys just a couple of seconds to get in here. Man, any kind of questions that you have on today's program? Another wild show ending just with a major cliffhanger that just had me saying, what the hell just happened? Oh, man. Hey, Tamarius, how are you? Brianna, hey, Breezy's here. How are you? Man, Kirby, hello. Come on in, everybody. Let's talk about some professional wrestling. What a crazy show today, ending with just a cliffhanger. They literally SoCal distancing through the PP3 Cup in the Pacific Ocean. That is a cup that Ray Rosas holds along with his Arizona State Championship and his Heritage Championship. And he held the cup, which gives you an opportunity at a championship match anytime, any place. They stole it last week, SoCal distancing, and threw it into the ocean. Oh my gosh. Kirby says, when's the birthday bash? Stay tuned to championshipwrestlingmemphis.com. No matter how many times you ask me, the answer is the same. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. We do have a live event coming up next Sunday, September 20th. I've invited you to that event, Kirby. Go to championshipwrestlingmemphis.com, purchase your ticket. It is on deadline for our VIP tickets for the Superstar Tribute. James says, what a change of direction at Championship Wrestling. Oh my gosh, the last 2 weeks of being back at live action has just been absolutely crazy. First of all, who would have thought that Watts would lose the championship in the opening segment of last week? But then also in the final segment, who would have thought that Static would break up? Adrian Quest and Andy Brown attack Ray Rosas. Rosas won the title, and then today we've got this. Just unbelievable. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'll go through each and every one of them and answer those the best of my knowledge. But we are called the fastest hour in pro wrestling for a reason, and it's just that. And thank you guys all for joining us for the show and the live chat, and thank you for joining me here for the live reaction. Incredible. David says, hey, Dustin, thanks for having us over again. Man, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Tamari says he's doing good. That's awesome. Saturday morning wrestling. Saturday afternoon wrestling. Awesome. Breezy said that she didn't watch today because of football. That's okay. We have every single episode in full, absolutely free right here on YouTube. I would highly recommend going back and checking that out. And Breezy, I know you're real busy with football, but if you get a second, man, we'd love to see you out at a Superstar Tribute. I know you're a big Bill Dundee fan, and I'll be posting some classic stuff between myself and Bill throughout the week on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Dustin Starr. So check that out. You were there for most of those for sure, Breezy. Big Metroid says they're messing with Ray Rosas for sure. You know what? It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Let me just say that. And when you hang out with people like Adrian Quest and Andy Brown with very questionable character, especially over the last however long, that's bound to happen, you know. Quest turned his back on his friend, Russ Taylor. Andy Brown turned his back on Bateman, if you guys remember that. And Ray Rosas turned his back on everybody, including his protege, Jordan Clearwater. So who would have thought that they turned their back on Ray Rosas? So if you lie with dogs, you're going to get fleas. Kirby says, when's the birthday party? I've already answered that question a million times. Greg, but don't worry, we will have live wrestling coming up again. We were at the Lauderdale County Fair last Thursday. We got some more things in the works, so you gotta support what we're doing, Kirby. Greg, Ray Rosas over 200 pounds now was lighter. I actually think Ray Rosas looks better now than he did. Ray Rosas putting on a little bit of size, looks much stronger. I thought he looked great. And, man, Will Allday looks fantastic as well. He's one of my personal favorite wrestlers. And anytime Ray Rosas is in the ring, I want to see him get beat. I think we all know that. Let's see. Gary Movie Emporium says, I need to get caught up on Championship Wrestling. Every single episode is in the playlist, full episodes. And then also, if you guys noticed, you'll see that we have Superstar playlists. So Heather Monroe has her own playlist. Watts has his own playlist, and each and every week we're going to have brand new playlists where it's easier to find all your favorites. Mr. E, hello. Thank you for joining me. What'd you think of today's show? Greg said, I shared the live stream link with my 3 friends who love pro wrestling. Greg, we appreciate that. We had over 100 people in the live chat watching along with us, and that's just contributed by you guys. So we appreciate that. I believe that was the biggest live audience that we've had online, and everybody is so cool. So many of these live chats that you see, people are just at each other and complaining and just, you know, going in business for themselves. But everybody's very, very cool. So we appreciate that. And, you know, Greg, Mr. E, many of you guys have been there for a very, very long time. So we appreciate you guys. So thanks for sharing that. Big Metroid fan. He's another big supporter. Slice Boogie had an excellent debut. Yes. Now, Slice Boogie, that stuff wasn't pretty, man. He'll just beat you up. But Danny Limelight Rivera, you talk about spectacular. You can catch him on New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been confirmed. I don't guess, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see him on Tuesdays, United Wrestling Network Primetime Live. But you will see him pretty much each and every week right here on Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle. Greg says Rosas is a great heel. Now he has to watch his back. Literally, Ray Rosas is looking over his back the whole time. And that makes it real tough to defend a championship, especially 2 championships. And his PP3 cup was thrown into the ocean. What in the world? Why? Like, I don't understand that. And it's very, you know, intriguing that Rosas was able to win that championship without cashing in his PP3 cup. Who would have thought that? He did it all by himself. Gary says, I think I left off with 483. Okay, so our episodes of Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle, we're up to 76. So I'm not exactly sure where 483 lies, but we're episode 76 right now, and that was today. So go back and check those out. Now, many of the best of shows that we were running while we were on break from the pandemic are totally different than Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And then also, we always bring a different flavor and a different feel to Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle and try to give it a little bit of a Memphis flavor, if you know what I mean. So there's a lot of stuff on our program that you won't see anywhere else. Tamaria said, my friend said she enjoyed today's show. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tamarius. Greg says, Ray bulked up. Danny, OMG, so many moves, great arsenal. Now, I will tell you, I've been a professional wrestler for over 20 years. And the way that Danny Limelight has balance walking on those ropes is absolutely incredible. I wouldn't be able to do it in a million years. So very, very impressive stuff from Danny Limelight Rivera. And Greg also says, I love Championship Wrestling so much. Thank you, man. We really appreciate that. And I know you're a big Lacey Ryan fan. Don't worry. In a couple of weeks, she will be back in action right here with match number 5 of the Best of 7 series with Heather Monroe. Willie says Vipress is a hottie. Vipress was back in action, and her match was interrupted by that crazy Nico Marquez. What in the world is going on with him? I will actually be talking to David Marquez on Monday at noon on the Championship Wrestling podcast presented by Be Free CBD, and I'm going to ask him that. What in the world is up with your son, Nico, a.k.a. Discount Marquez, as Houston Body likes to call him? But I'm going to ask him about that. That was crazy. And you haven't seen the last of Vipress. Hopefully we'll get those two for a rematch, hopefully next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Just saying. But what about the beatdown? Killer Bay, Heather Monroe with the beatdown on Nico. And it's funny that rhymes. Monroe beat down on Nico. I loved it. Mr. E says, I love what you guys are doing and love being in the group here. Man, we love you being in the group. And you said you missed the last couple of episodes. Go back and watch last week. It was crazy. Greg agrees with Mr. E. Willie says, Vipress is a hottie. She'll be wrestling in other contenders for Thunder Rosa's title. Will she be wrestling other contenders for Thunder Rosa's title? You never know. You never know. We're the most unpredictable show, unpredictable hour. I can't believe we're able to fit so much into 1 hour. Big shout out to Thunder Rosa for making waves nationally. She's going to be defending her title against, oh gosh, guys, help me out. She's defending the NWA Women's World title, not only on AEW Dynamite next week, but she's defending it on United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live. And I believe it's Priscilla Kelly. Believe that's correct, but she's going to be on the program too, man. Awesome stuff. Mr. E says, thanks to Championship Wrestling and Pro Shingle for so much amazing content. Yeah, big thank you to Pro Shingle. So if you guys are in the Mid-South area, Mississippi, Tennessee, or Arkansas, and you need roofing repair, roofing replacement, home improvement needs, go to proshingle.com. Or you know what? Send them a message. Tell them how much you love Championship Wrestling. We really appreciate those guys. They've been with us since day one, and you can see the logo right here featured with Championship Wrestling. So Gary says, you guys deserve to be in the big-time arenas. Hope that day is not far off. Well, I mean, hey, we're doing very well. We're the number one CW station in the nation here in Memphis, and we like to think that Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle has really helped that out. Jonathan Ray says, Memphis wrestling rules. Oh, yeah. Now, just wait, guys. At some point on the other side of this pandemic, especially Jonathan, who is right down the street living in Arkansas, you'll be able to go to these matches here in Memphis, Tennessee. So you'll see that at some point. But right now, we appreciate you guys' continued support with Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Mr. E says, Willie, I agree. She's rocking. Vipers has a lot of fans. We're glad that she's back. Greg says, Lacey, thank God. Woohoo! Willie says, another great show. Greg is a big Lacey Ryan fan. Let me just tell you that. Dave, what's up? He says, great episode. Looking forward to next week's show already. I know, right? Stay tuned to social media at CW30 Wrestling, and we're going to announce what those matches are going to look like next week. And hopefully we'll have rematches because we had a women's division match stopped by crazy Nico Marquez, and he paid the price for that. But then also our main event was interrupted by SoCal distancing. I think somebody in the chat called them COVID-19 or coronavirus crew. So hopefully we'll have some rematches for you next week. But we hated that those matches ended the way we did. We always like to have, solid, clear-cut victories and things like that. But, man, it's just been wild and crazy these last couple of weeks. Tamaria says the women's action is fire. And, yeah, what is his problem? I have no idea. Like I said, I'm going to ask David Marquez all about that on Monday's Championship Wrestling podcast presented by Be Free CBD. And last week, my interview with Watts didn't quite go as planned. The dude hung up right in my face. So nobody has really seen or heard from Watts since he lost his Heritage title. And I can understand him being very upset about it. Mr. E says, Discount Marquez. That popped me. I think that's his new name, Discount Marquez. Jonathan Reyes, he says Marquez needs attention. He needs medical attention after that beatdown that Heather Monroe gave him. Yes, Lamb says Priscilla Kelly. So Priscilla Kelly versus Thunder Rosa for the NWA Women's World Championship. Also, Camille is going to be in action against Killer Bay Heather Monroe on Tuesday, the United Wrestling Network Primetime Live. I actually purchased my package and got $2 off. I bought the first 4 episodes because I support professional wrestling and especially the United Wrestling Network. So you guys, if you're interested and you have the means, and go ahead, check it out on Fight TV or wherever you get your pay-per-views. But Fight TV, you can get all 4. You can get like the first 4 episodes at a really, really great rate. And we're going to talk to David Marquez all about that on Monday's podcast as well. Mr. E says the fastest hour in pro wrestling. You're right about that. Priscilla Kelly at PPV 922 at AEW versus Ivelisse. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ivelisse. If you guys didn't know, back in my WWE developmental days, Ivelisse came in for a tryout, and we became friends. And I was excited to see her win the Tag Team Cup on AEW. That was very cool. So, and I believe Ivelisse is getting the title match against Thunder Rosa. Big Metroid said that beer bottle did a number on Nico Marquez's head. You're right about that. Maybe we should hit him with another beer bottle, or maybe Monroe's big kick to the face might have cleared up his head a little bit because the dude is thinking very, very loopy. Gary says, you've done an amazing things with production. Thank you so much, Gary, the very best in the world. You guys saw John Roberts doing the interviews, and he was also in the live chat. He is one of our editors. He helps put this thing together, so he and I work very, very closely. Also, big shout out to Nick Bonanno, David Marquez. So many other guys and gals are part of that production crew. And we like to think that we have the very best production on the independent scene, hands down, bar none. That's not even up for discussion. And you guys, if you could say NWA, but that was produced by David Marquez's crew. New Japan Pro Wrestling Lionsgate, produced by David Marquez's crew in the United Wrestling Network. So big round of applause to David Marquez, John Roberts, Nick Bonanno, and so many more. Logan. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but big shout out to those guys. Great production. James says, Destiny wanted me to tell you hi for her. She's here, but we're getting ready to go to our daughter's baby shower. Congratulations. I didn't even know that. And tell Destiny she's got some goodies that are be coming to her next week, immediately after our superstar tribute. So big shout out to Destiny and James. We appreciate you guys. Jonathan says, excellent. Mr. E, also dig the podcast, Be Free CBD, and that song sticks in my head too. Thanks to all involved. Yeah, Daryl Bird is fantastic, and so is Charlotte. Be Free CBD, pain on, pain gone. I was by there this week and picked up some CBN gummies to help sleep because your boy stays up all night. Like I fired up. I mean, this is what I'm doing right now. I mean, always on go, man. So yeah, big shout out to Be Free CBD. Now they do ship all over the world. So if you already take CBD, or if you've been thinking about trying it, go to BeFreeCBD.com. They ship everywhere, and it would be great if you guys help support those that help support us. So we appreciate that. Willie says, let me get it caught up here real quick. Will Watts get his rematch with that dirtbag Ray Rosas? Hopefully, but first we have to get in touch with Watts. So to be continued. That story is developing as we speak. Tune in next week. We thought we were going to have an interview with Watts on the Be Free CBD podcast. Then John Roberts thought he was going to have an interview with Watts, and you saw how that went. So hopefully we'll get more from Watts next week. Gary says, how's your working relationship with Impact? I'd love to see Watts and Moose in a match. Yeah, that'd be cool. Last year, Championship Wrestling, a lot of the stars appeared on Impact Wrestling. So there's definitely some sort of working relationship there. So we'll just have to see. Jonathan says, is Nico wanting to be the next Andy Kaufman and wrestle the ladies? Might want to rethink that. I think after today's kick to the head and beat down by Heather Monroe, he probably wants no part of the women's division, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's a good point, especially being a Memphis wrestling fan, Jonathan. A little bit of Andy Kaufman in there, but he hasn't really challenged the ladies. He's just being a big pain in the butt for them. Dave Scooby says, SoCal distancing already has me more invested than seeing weeks of WWE's Retribution. Well, there's one thing for sure. We know who these guys are. We don't know who Retribution is. Now, the guy in the mask that introduced Andy Brown and Adrian Quest, he looked like Aaron Stevens, but I'm sure it's not Aaron Stevens. Who he is, we don't know yet, but stay tuned because we're definitely going to find out. And through the PP3 Cup in the ocean, like I said on TV, what the hell? That's absolutely insane. If nothing else, I'd keep it and use it and try to take Ray's title, but they threw it in the ocean. Tamaria said, I wish I could see Primetime Live. I know it's going to be great. You can see Primetime Live. I think you can purchase the episodes for just $7.99. Or I bought 4 episodes and got $2 off. I believe it was $23.99 on Fight TV. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. There's going to be so many championship matches. Dan Joseph will defend the United TV title. Thunder Rosa will defend the NWA Women's World title. You've got the West Coast Pro Heavyweight Brandon Cutler versus Peter Avalon. Well, my thoughts are neither one of those guys can find a victory in AEW. So who's going to win? Who's going to pick up their first victory in AEW? I'm going to be there for it. I'll watch it. I watch AEW Dark. I watch Being the Elite. I watch Dynamite. I watch NXT. Drives Maria crazy, but man, I'm fully invested. I watched the 10 Pounds of Gold series that returned last week from the NWA. Lots of really good stuff. David says Eva Lise is one of my favorites too. I enjoyed seeing her. Son of Havoc and Angelico became the inaugural Lucha Underground Trios champions. I love it, man. I miss Lucha Underground too because that was a part of my weekly routine of watching professional wrestling. James G and Destiny Rocks are all stars to me. From the first chat, you guys were all here. I remember you two welcoming me, always being so chill. Yeah, I cannot wait to be back in Hollywood for tapings for Championship Wrestling, because it will happen. Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic and they don't have any fans and stuff like that. But one day that will all change and I will be there for it. Lamb says, congrats, Destiny and James. Willie, Mystery says, Willie is my NWA bro, always cool. Also, David Marquez crew to produce the Impact tapings in SoCal last year. That's right, Lamb. David Marquez and crew, they have their hands all over a lot of wrestling and a lot of sports, MMA, basketball, you name it. Willie says, will we see any retro matches from NWA Hollywood on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? If you go to our feature matches playlist, you will see some old school NWA Hollywood featuring the Young Bucks and Scorpio Sky and Davina Rose, which was Bailey, and Eli Drake and all sorts of stuff. So go to feature matches and you'll find a lot of that right here on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Lamb says, no, Willie, you can watch retro matches on United Wrestling Network. Yes, echoing my sentiments right there. Jamode says, good morning, good afternoon. My Maria just walked in the room. Hey.
I'll show my belly.
Show your belly. Check this out, guys. Look at that.
Show my face.
Got a baby boy in there, everybody. Mystery says NWA and Championship Wrestling are my faves. Nintendo fan guy, what's up, man? If you have any questions, I got a couple of more minutes here. This is our live reaction from today's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. And real quick, before I forget, sporting my Block the Hate shirt from Fred Rosser, who is now on New Japan Pro Wrestling, my old buddy from developmental days. Jonathan says, X used to watch wrestling from everywhere when cable TV got started. Keith says, what went on in the main event? Whew. Great match from Ray Rosas and Will Allday, interrupted by SoCal distancing. So don't worry, we're going to schedule that rematch and get that for you very, very soon. But I don't know what the heck went on in that main event. Those guys are ruining everything is what it seems like. Everything for Ray Rosas, that's for sure. Nintendo fan guy says, I want to know what are your thoughts on AEW? I love AEW. And many of the stars that you see on AEW started right here in Championship Wrestling and the United Wrestling Network. Guys like Scorpio Sky, Brandon Cutler, Peter Avalon, MJF, Luchasaurus, Young Bucks. The list goes on and on and on. So we love AEW. Also love WWE too. We love all professional wrestling. Greg says, I loved Lucha Underground. That's where I saw Ivelisse for the first time. So, yeah, I met Ivelisse back in 2010 during her WWE tryout. She was extremely friendly, very, very cool. So it's good to see her back on television in AEW. Very, very cool stuff.
I'll be back.
Okay. Jonathan says, it's the lovely Maria. That's right, my lovely Maria. Keith says, cool shirt. Dustin, you guys should get one of these Block the Hate shirts. We're all for it, man. Jamode in the house. Jonathan says, excellent t-shirt. I'm Nintendo fan guy. I mostly watch indie wrestling full shows on YouTube. Well, we have 76 original episodes in full, absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the playlist and look up full shows presented by Pro Shingle, and you can watch from episode 1 all the way into episode 76. Also highlights, bloopers, and outtakes, which is a lot of fun. Superstar playlists and so much more. Jamode says, tell Maria congratulations. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Due in November. Nintendo fan guy says, Darby Allin is my favorite wrestler on AEW. He's had it tough with Ricky Starks, who was right here on this program as early as last year and this year, actually. Willie says, keep up the great work, Dustin and Maria. NWA and Championship Wrestling made me come back to pro wrestling. Well, we appreciate that. So if you have the means, go ahead and take a look at United Wrestling Network's Prime Time Live. It premieres on pay-per-view worldwide on Tuesday. That's this Tuesday. So on Monday, I'm going to talk to David Marquez and ask him all the questions that everybody asked me. Hey, is there a partnership with the NWA? lots of really, really good stuff I'm going to talk to David Marquez about. And again, all of our podcasts are available right here in full on the playlist. It's a podcast presented by Be Free CBD. Check them out at BeFreeCBD.com. Mystery says, my dad said Dustin needs to hit the back-to-back 2012 and 2013. Also, Modern Sports Nutrition. I'm a Modern Sports Nutrition athlete. You can check out their BCAAs and their Modern ISO protein. That's modernsportsnutrition.com. And then also Active. Any comments, anything you want me to discuss, I'll do my best. Got a couple more minutes here on the live reaction. And Saturday is the best day of the week, and it's because of pro wrestling, and talking to you guys and watching the show and just interacting. Nintendo Fan Guy said he was my pick to win the AEW Television Championship Tournament. The TNT title, I guess is what it's called. Willie says, I would love to see Jordan Grace and Jessica Havoc. When they were a part of NWA UWN. Willie, I'll check that out. I'll look in the vault and see if there's anything that we could post on that. I have access to a lot of the footage, but a lot of it you'll find in the feature matches section. And then also there is a playlist that says Women's Division. So you go in there and you can find Women's Division, CC Chanel, a.k.a. Simone Cherie, Sandra Moon, Heather Monroe, Vipress, Lacey Ryan, Thunder Rosa, Allison Kay, Jazz defending the NWA Women's World Title, and so much more. There's a lot there. Bailey, Buggy, who am I missing? There's a ton. Go to Women's Division and click that playlist and you find them all right there. Nintendo Fan Guy says, my wrestler name is Hardcore Hernandez, and he's currently undefeated in WWE 2K17. Not bad. You ought to check out my guy, Rhino JB. He's on Twitch. He has an online wrestling league called the Interactive Wrestling League. And characters Dustin and Maria Starr are on there as well. All right, guys, got a couple of more minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys for watching each and every week. Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Our YouTube page is absolutely on fire, and it's all because of you guys. I can't even tell you how many minutes watch we've had over the last 28 days. It has been unbelievable, and we appreciate your support. Destiny says, hello, everybody. So much love to each of you. Thank you. Quick comment. Matt Hardy, what about that? It was shocking. So thankful he is okay. The thing that was most shocking, first of all, hello, Destiny. Congratulations. I guess that'd make you a grandma. Is that right? Wow, right? I won't say that anymore, though. But yeah, so the crazy thing about that is that was not the finish of the match. That was like the beginning of the match. Off the top of very, very high, taking a spear through a table to the floor. Unbelievable. But it is, wrestlers, their heart is bigger than their brain. And I mean that with all due respect, because we feel like we have to finish that match. And the reason we have to finish that match is because of you guys, the fans. We don't want you to be disappointed. So AEW did the right thing by stopping the match, but then Matt got right back up and he wanted to finish it. And with the doctor in his ear, apparently Matt said whatever he needed to say in order for the doctor to kind of clear him for that. And he finished the match. Extremely dangerous, but it's one of those things where when you're live out there, it's a split-second decision. So Matt Hardy is just as much at fault as what AEW would be. And it was really tough to watch, to be perfectly honest with you. It was. Yeah, I guess that's about all you could really say about it. I finished a match after getting concussed. I didn't even know where I was. Had no idea where I was, have no idea how I got there. But I did finish the match. And you've seen Triple H finish the match with a torn quad. You've seen Kurt Angle take a bump through a table and get up literally loopy and still finish the match. You've seen Vince McMahon tear both of his quads and still finish whatever it was that he was doing. So incredible stuff. And Matt Hardy is one of the toughest guys that you'll ever see. But that was a scary moment on live pay-per-view. Talking about Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, which, by the way, that feud with Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara has kind of been like just crazy from the beginning. It's just been tainted with really bad luck, from the chair shot to the head to Sammy being gashed open on his head to now that. So gosh, maybe they're just not meant to work with each other. David says, I agree with Willie. I've been a fan of Jordynne Grace since her Team Pog days. Jordynne Grace, I'll see if we have anything in the archives, but definitely go and support her on Impact Wrestling. She's killing it. Xavier said today's show was good. We appreciate it, Xavier. Good stuff. We're trying to bring you the very best each and every week right here on Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingo. Nintendo Fan Guy says, I might need to tell my friend Bloody Buckets about this. Why haven't you already? Send him a link. Tell him to watch today's show. I think that anybody that watches the show, even if you don't know who the wrestlers are, that's one of the things that I get here in Memphis. Well, we don't know any of the guys. Well, when we introduce a new show or even a new television program, you're not going to know until you know. And there's only one way to know, and that's to watch. So watch. Greg says, Watts hung up on you, Dustin. He's so upset. Yeah, I actually scheduled that interview probably on the Friday before he defended the title. So whenever I scheduled it, everything was cool. But it was actually hard getting in touch with him to even do the interview after he lost the title. So I'm surprised he answered the phone. But yeah, he hung up in my face. Yeah, that sucked. I'm just going to be honest with you. So sorry about that. I did my best. Yensuka Tube says, wrestlers don't seem to get many accidental low blows in real life. Just wondering if you know of any time someone couldn't continue a match because of it. Not being able to continue the match. I mean, I've been hit pretty good in the nether region, and I still had to finish the match. I can't remember of it happening where a guy couldn't continue. I mean, definitely limping around, that's for sure. Mystery says, Destiny, congrats on the baby. Yes. Nintendo Fan Guy, does anyone remember Aces and Eights? I do. Xavier says, I'm glad that Moxley beat MJF. I thought MJF was going to pick up the victory there, but Moxley continues to be the AEW World Champion. And now my buddy, Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk monster, gets an opportunity at the AEW title. That's going to be awesome. David says, hi, Destiny. Good to hear from you. Always good to hear from Destiny here in the chat. James as well. All you guys, man. Nintendo Fan Guy, I do enjoy the storyline. It was one of the greatest storylines in TNA. Mr. E, Vince tore both quads entering the ring at the end of the Royal Rumble when Cena and Batista botched the ending. That whole ending was crazy, Mr. E. And for Vince to tear both quads, and you see him sitting on the mat still yelling and screaming, doing his thing. It was pretty good. Willie, A1 matches from Championship Wrestling. Thank you, brother. Oh my gosh, what was the best match this week? We had Clark versus Jack Cartwright. That was really good. And Danny Limelight Rivera versus Slice Boogie was a really good one. Tag team match was really solid too. So we had the women's division match was off to a great start until dang Nico Marquez. Destiny not assessing any blame there. AEW Matt, just a crazy spot. Could not tell if it was kayfabe. So true. No more Matt with Sammy. Yes, it was definitely a real life situation. And Rebby, Matt's wife, took to social media, and me and my Maria were talking about it. And I was like, hey, if this ever happens to me, which hopefully it does not, please don't go on social media and trash my company. They're paying a lot of money. Please don't do that. So yeah, Rebby was not very happy with that, and rightfully so, just saying. Destiny, I look forward to this new chapter in my life and getting another generation in love with wrestling. Okay, so the very first show that the baby watches, even if they don't know they're watching, you just got to prop them up on the TV and watch Championship Wrestling. Destiny says, don't be fooled. I can still throw down. Mystery says that it was, but it was all in the attempt to entertain. And I just think if you take go through a table off of some sort of scaffolding to the hard concrete floor, that's a finish. That is a finish anywhere. But AEW, that's their brand, is to go above and beyond and do wild and crazy stuff that nobody else does. So that's their company. an alternative to WWE. Xavier says, I didn't know that Archer got an AEW title shot. Yeah, he won the Casino Royale, where he won the #1 contendership. So he will be getting a shot coming up against Moxley. Lance Archer, he was very good in New Japan. I worked with Lance Archer back when I was in WWE Developmental, and I can't remember. He was tagging with Kurt Hawkins at the time. So Bo says, late AF, but what's up, all? Thanks for joining us, man. If you missed the show, you got to go back and check it out. It was crazy. Nintendo fan guy, he likes hardcore wrestling and independent wrestling. You definitely have to be an AEW fan then. Dusty, I'll watch today's show this evening. Thank you so much, Dustin, for having Championship Wrestling available on YouTube. You are welcome, and all you guys are welcome. Thank you. And if you did miss today's show, I highly recommend going back and watching. If you missed last week's show, I mean, start there. I mean, it's only an hour, so 58 minutes and 30 seconds to be exact. So you have last week and you have this week. It tells a great story. We're off and running with brand new live production for Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Every single episode is available in full in the playlist. Also, you have Superstar playlist where you can go back and watch your favorites. Women's division playlist, feature matches playlist. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to find all your favorite matches and all your favorite stars right here on this YouTube channel. All right, guys and gals. If you are watching this live chat later and you're not watching it live, go ahead and put your questions and comments into the chat. And I always go back and we respond to each and every one of those. Also, be sure to look out for our community section. There's a new community section on YouTube where we're able to post pictures and polls and, you know, it's just a whole different interaction with you guys right here on YouTube. And then, of course, each and every Saturday at noon, we have a brand new episode for you on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Every Monday at noon, we have a brand new podcast presented by Be Free CBD. On Monday, our special guest is the boss man, David Marquez, and that's actually going to be 24 hours away from the premiere of United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live on pay-per-view. Can't wait. I know he's got to be nervous and excited at the same time. A couple of more real quick before I jump off. Dustin, did Watts win the Heritage Championship in the Red Carpet Rumble? Yes, he did. He defeated 29 other guys, yours truly included, to become the champion. He held that championship for over a year, from September to September, and then he was upset by Ray Rosas last week. Don't want to give any spoilers, but, I mean, it's a week old now. Nintendo fan guy says, favorite wrestling match of all time? It would have to be Toronto Sky Dome in front of 90,000 strong, the Ultimate Challenge Intercontinental Championship on the line, where the Ultimate Warrior goes head-to-head with the WWF World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan. It's champion versus champion, WrestleMania 6. That's my favorite match of all time, followed by Bret versus Bulldog at Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam 1992. Those are two of my favorite matches of all time. Mr. E says, I need to start catching Grind City Wrestling podcast. Let me put that link here in the comments for you. grindcitymedia.com/podcasts, because we had our 100th episode on Thursday featuring the brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR. So we had our milestone 100th episode. We were celebrating that. It was the very first interview for the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR, and they joined us. We both celebrated together, and it was a lot of fun. You can check that episode out in full, grindcitymedia.com/podcast. Just scroll down. We're kind of halfway down the page or whatever. Click that. It's absolutely free. We have 100 episodes with some of wrestling's biggest stars. So I appreciate that, Mr. E. Thank you for reminding me of that. Jonathan says, which tag team would you like to see face Storm and Drake for the NWA titles from UWN? Oh, the Wolves, that is the big men from Meat Mountain. That's who I'd like to see. Or maybe the Friendship Farm. That'd be a good one, too. Xavier says that Ray Rosas upset was crazy. Yeah, it definitely was. Wishing you and Maria the best. Thank you, David. Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray in Lockdown 2013. I think if you watch some more professional wrestling, you'll find a new fave, but that was definitely a good one too. That's all the time I got for you this time. Go ahead and make sure that you're following us at CW30 Wrestling on all forms of social media. Not only do we have new episodes every Saturday, new podcasts every Monday, but we have brand new videos all throughout the week. Xavier, yes, Static did break up. We have no idea why just yet, but stay tuned. James, GCW podcast is great. I like hearing you with your Rock and Devin Walker. Baby, great chemistry. It's good chemistry because we're all friends. We're constantly texting each other about wrestling. Mr. E, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Xavier, Willie, everybody. Destiny, James. Gosh, I know I'm going to leave somebody out, but I don't mean to. Everybody that joined us for the episode and everybody that joined me here today, I appreciate you guys so much. You can get all up to date and informed. ChampionshipWrestlingMemphis.com. You guys have an awesome Saturday. Football season is back. I can't wait for that. The 5-star squad's going for another fantasy football championship this year, as long as we can keep football going. But stay tuned. Also, United Wrestling Network Primetime Live is premiering on Tuesday. And until then, it says order the rematch between. How about we do this? How about next week we have a rematch with Ray Rosas defending the title against Will Allday, and what if we have Viperous going against CC Chanel again next week? 2 big rematches next week. What if we scheduled that? I think you guys would like that. Stay tuned. Announcement coming soon. But until then, I am Dustin Starr saying so long, everybody. Oh, yeah. See you guys.